Odin is a complex deity, one who we know from mythology and folklore, who appears across centuries and under many names. He appears prominently in Norse mythology, taking on the role of leader of the gods, and as a figure who is instrumental in important situations. Odin created the worlds and humans with his two brothers, either named Vili and Ve or Heonur and Lodur, depending on the version of the story. He works endlessly to gain wisdom to hold off the inevitable Ragnarok as long as possible, and to prepare for it as best as possible. It was Odin who discovered the runes and gave them to the gods, elves, dwarfs and humans. It was also Odin who tricked one of the giants, and the giant's daughter, to obtain Odwele, the mead of poetry. Often his actions have widespread benefits for others, but just as often his motives are obscure and difficult to fully understand. Historically, Odin was a prominent and important god, with his statue being one of the three main ones at the temple in Uppsala, Sweden. We see echoes of this importance today, in the name of one of our days of the week, Wednesday or Woden's Day. Many people are still drawn to Odin. Among some pagans, he is said to be quite active in the world, recruiting followers. Whether this is objectively true or not, he does seem to draw a strong following and have gained a lot of popularity within heathenry, as well as, to some degree, within paganism more generally. He is one of those deities that engenders strong feelings in people, for good or ill, and people do seem to find him fascinating. In many ways, he is a contradiction, a force of change that seeks to maintain the status quo, a god of wisdom that seeks to outwit others, a leader of the gods who is known for wandering far from his home. The more you learn about Odin, the more you will learn to accept the contradictions and to appreciate the layers to his myths. Odin is often described as having only one eye, having sacrificed the other at Mimir's well to gain more wisdom. Which eye is lost and which remains is unknown, although many people have theories. Besides the missing eye, Odin is usually described as wearing blue or black, or a particular bluish black called Bálva in Icelandic, which was associated with mourning. In stories and art, he often appears wearing a broad-rimmed hat or cloak with a hood, which may cover the side of his face with the missing eye. When he is not pictured with the hat, he may be shown with his hair covering that side of his face instead, although more modern depictions also favour an eye patch. He is also shown with a long beard. In recent artwork, he may be either blonde or grey haired. In mythology, he may appear barefoot and in multicoloured pants or full armour, and when he bears a weapon, it is a spear. In the Gylfaginning, he is described as riding out during Ragnarok, dressed in a helmet of gold and a beautiful coat of mail, with his spear Gulfnir. Odin, like any deity, can and will influence whatever he chooses to, but there are particular areas he is especially associated with. We might not go so far as to say that he is the god of these things in the traditional sense, but they are certainly things he seems to have an especially keen interest in or knowledge of. Poetry. Odin is known as the god of the poets and poetry, although he is not the only one. It is Odin who possesses the mead of poetry, which gives inspiration, and Odin himself is known to inspire those whom he chooses to. He inspires through passion, both the obviously good sort that motivates the creation of epic writing and songs, as well as the kind that drives warriors to rush headlong into battle, madness and ecstasy. As with his aspect as the god of poets, Odin's power as god of madness is rooted in his ability to inspire, in this case, inspiring fury and frenzy. We see this in particular in the way he inspires the berserkers to battle frenzy, where they feel no pain and fight relentlessly. Battle. Odin is a god of battle, who can influence every aspect of battle, from inspiring or stirring up wars to encouraging warriors to fight to their utmost, to choosing who gains victory and who dies. The dead. Odin's connection to the dead is a complex one. There is some suggestion that the main colours associated with him, particularly dark blue and blah, were the colours of the death that were symbolic of corpses. His hall in Asgard was home to some of the dead, especially the heroic battle dead called Einherjar, and several of his bynames relate to the dead. Odin is associated with several types of magic, most notably runic magic and Saida. In the Havalmar, Odin discusses the various magical uses for runes that he knows, and in Baldur's Drömr, Odin is called the father of magic chants. Odin, as a god of wisdom, could also be described as a god of cunning, because he is both associated with both knowledge for its own sake and with the clever use of it. It should be kept in mind that his pursuit of wisdom is ruthless, to the point that he hangs on the world tree without subsistence for 9 days to find the runes, and gives an eye for a drink from Mimir's well. Odin has strong connections to prophecy, both as a deity who sees the future himself, and as a god who is known in the stories to seek out those who can see the future to tell him what will come to pass. Odin has a large and complex family, as well as several important associates not directly related by blood, and each of the deities associated closely with him is usually significant in mythology. The Prose Edda explains his byname of Allfather by saying that he was the father of all the gods and men and of everything that he and his power created. This reinforces both his centrality in mythology and his strong connections to many of the gods and to humanity at large. Frigga, Odin's wife and the mother of his son Baldur. Frigga was a major goddess in the Norse pantheon, able to see the future as Odin could, though lore says she didn't speak of what she saw. We have a video dedicated to Frigga that you can find on our channel. Njord, also called Fjolkin, her name means earth, and she is considered to be a primordial earth goddess. Her parents are Njot, night, and Anal, and she is most well known in myth as Thor's mother, although she may have held an earlier significance on her own as a primordial earth deity. Gunnlod, the daughter of the giant Suttungr. Gunnlod was the guardian of the mead of poetry. Gunnlod's name means invitation to battle, and Semek conjectures that she is reminiscent of a Valkyrie who gives out mead. Rind. Rind is described as both one of the goddesses of the Aesir, and also a mortal king's daughter in different sources, where she is named either Rindir or Rinda, respectively. Skaldi, daughter of the giant Thiazi, and at one point wife of the Volnic god Njord. Her father chased Loki into Asgard and was killed by the gods, so she went there herself in order to claim Welgild for his death. One of Odin's many bynames is Allfather, and while it may have different contexts, it can certainly be taken literally, as he is a very prolific deity. In the mythology, he is said to not only have fathered a variety of gods, but also different human kings. Not all of his divine children are with his wife Frigga, contributing to Odin's reputation as a deity who was fond of female companionship. As with most things in mythology, there can be variances between sources as to who parented whom, so we sometimes see one source claiming Odin was a particular being's father, while another myth claims a different father for that same deity. For our purposes here, we're just going to list anyone who is said to be his child in a source, but if you are interested, we do suggest further research on each of them. Many of his children are significant deities in their own right, and worth exploring in more depth. Thor, Odin's son with the goddess Njord. Thor was one of the most popular gods in Norse culture. He was also said to be Odin's first son. He is featured often in many myths, which describe his adventures protecting the world by fighting against the forces of entropy as embodied by the more dangerous giants. His wife is the goddess Sif, and he has 3 children, 2 sons, Magni and Moddi, and a daughter, Thrude, and his stepson is the god Ulla, Baldur. According to the Gylfaginning, Baldur is Odin's second son. He is a very important deity in one of the most well-known stories from the Eddas, Baldur's Drömr, and he is often described as very beautiful and much loved. His mother is Odin's wife Thriga, and his wife is the goddess Anna, and his son is the justice deity Forseti. Hodor, by some accounts also a son of Odin, although this is disputed in different versions of the mythology. He is described in the Prose Edda as being immensely strong. He is a blind deity, often associated with winter, and it is his hand that casts the ill-fated mistletoe that kills Baldur. Hermod, Odin's son, is an obscure deity. It is Hermod that rides to Helheim to try and convince Hela on Odin and Thriga's behalf to free Baldur after he is killed. Hela agrees on the single condition that every living thing cry for Baldur's death, but one giantess named Thok refuses. Because Thok would not cry for him, Baldur remains in Helheim with the dead, and Hermod's mission fails. Vindr, said in some sources to be Odin's son, and in others to be the son of a giant. Vindr will avenge Odin's death by killing the Fenris wolf. Vindr, along with his half-brother Vali, and Thor's two sons, Magni and Modi, will survive Ragnarok and help rebuild the world. Snorri calls him a silent god, and says that he is nearly as strong as Thor. Bragi, Odin's son by an unnamed mother. Some have suggested in conversation that his mother was the giantess Gunnlod. His name is related to the Norse word for poetry, and he is unsurprisingly a god of poetry and eloquence. His wife is the goddess Idunna. Valle, Odin's son with the giantess Lind. Valle's birth was prophesied and intentionally brought about by Odin in order to avenge the death of his son Baldur. According to myth, Valle avenged his half-brother's death when he himself was only 1 day old. Loki is the son of two giants, Lufle and Flaboti, and is also numbered among the Aesir in the Eddas. He is the father of 3 very significant beings: the world serpent Jormungandr, the wolf Fenris, who would kill Odin at Ragnarok, and Hela, the goddess who rules Helheim, where the dead go. We learn in the Lokasunna he is Odin's blood brother, and in that story we are told that Odin had taken an oath never to drink, unless Loki was given a drink as well. Not related to Odin by blood, but strongly associated with him, are the Valkyries, mythic warrior women who occupied a liminal place between the dead and the gods. The Einherjar are great warriors, the souls of the battle dead collected by the Valkyries and brought to Odin's hall. It is said in the Prose Edda that Odin is called the Valfather, father of the slain, because all who die in battle are his adopted sons. These warriors are brought to Valhalla, where they spend the day fighting and the night feasting, with each day repeating as the one before. The word Einherjar means those who fight alone. The Einherjar are essential to both Odin and to humanity at large, as they will fight for the gods and us at Ragnarok against the forces of entropy. Odin, the All-Father, is truly a complex deity, one whose influence transcends the bounds of Norse mythology. A prolific deity, with many children who themselves deserve in-depth study. His words inspired warriors to give their lives in battle, earning a seat in his halls. Odin is truly a powerful deity, one whose influence ripples across the waves of time. If you'd like to learn more about Odin, then please take a look at our book, Odin by Morgan Daimler, who also provided the words for this video. It's available now from Moonbooks. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for weekly content, become a member to support us further, and we'll see you next time.